one typical thing I do for sure differently is when I know in 2 or 3 days it will be raining, everybody says, thank God it's raining, then we don't have to irrigate. But that's the time I irrigate. If you look around, here it's crazy green all over around us. It's just very dry. It's very, it's depleted. And we are fully green. The results from what we are doing since we started, they are sometimes really amazing. In a soil which was so compacted, we have now a lush soil which is so loose, which is so fluffy, and we can grow all these veggies. We have so many different veggies now. We have broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, salads, fennels, garlic, everything growing beautifully. We have, for example, apples, where I took the rootstock, that means the part which is relating to the soil. I took from Santa Clara, this is a lake which is close, put it into soil and grafted a variety on it, like Granny Smith. And the growth of those trees is just in 1 year. We have over 3-meter high trees. We have pear trees. They're shooting out here. They're fruiting probably already this year or at least next year's. So everything is very, very ready to bring fruit, and with that bring food as well. Food for us, food for the microbiology in the soil, food for the insects, food for the birds, so food for the whole family. When people ask me, what is your main action or what is your main work here? The main thing is, of course, the focus on tree, because trees, they are producing a lot of biomass, which we can bring back to the soil. With that, we keep the soil fertile. Many normal gardens, they always need compost from outside. We are returning always the biomass from our trees to the soil, and with that we keep those soil fertile and alive. And this is the different thing. In permaculture, sometimes people say you have to occupy first the hills because it is the driest. But when you look around here, nature does it differently. It occupies first the valleys, most of the time the north-facing valleys, and then it expands. And then when I work in the valleys and I look into the hills, then I imagine automatically by now, what could I plant here? And I take almost 1 year until I decide, okay, I do this and this and this. What the goal is here not a goal which is static. The goal is to increase the dynamic power of nature in this place. So with that, it's also, I don't make a design on paper. I make my design in my heart. And then while I co-create with other people, I always ask or feedback with my heart. And then I see exactly what to do. And sometimes I'm completely wrong. I mean, here, for example, what I did is I just created soil. I wanted to have corn here. I thought it works. It didn't work at all. But now we planted, instead of corn, artichokes, and the artichokes work. So one thing doesn't work, then of course I don't repeat the same mistake again and again. I repeat perhaps another mistake or a success, you know. And I say always, when you have 90% failure and you have 10% success, one day these 10% are your 100% because you can take them and copy and paste, you know. Often people ask, yeah, but how long does it take until it regenerates? Since these systems here are just 3 years and it's the oldest system, so it's just 3 years old. The other system, they are 2 years old, 1 year, and some are freshly planted. And what we are doing is really we have this no-dig approach. That means in the garden we have no digging. Also people think, no, it doesn't work, but it works very well. We are also no digging in the tree lines, because what does it mean when people dig? They think, yeah, those trees, they are so weak and they cannot make it without us. But it's their function, it's their task to really decompact those deeper layers. In my pots over there, I saw when I have very, very bad soil, those trees, they are going into stones. They could go around. No, they are going through them. That means they even go through stones. Why have we the idea we need to decompact also for the trees? And as you see, those trees are healthy. And I have the comparison with no-dig tree lines and dig tree lines. And with the no-dig tree lines, we have much lesser loss. And then what we bring in is a little bit wood chips in order to bring in the microbiology. That's all. It worked. And I often say, when people say, yeah, we have a water problem here in Portugal, I say, no, we have not a water problem. We have a water management problem. Of course, if you have water sources and you just pump out of the water sources, but you have not a feedback system where you feed back these wells, then you have a problem. Then you are in the consumption. And this potential, of course, because the climate zone is really beautiful. You have such a broad variety of species which are growing here. It is really crazy what potential this land offers. Here we have the well. This well is exactly what I explained before. It's a feedback system because it's in the valley. We are pumping up this well into the hills up there. The trees take in the water and feed back the well. This well, because we have around here, we have a river which is salty, was 3 years ago, was completely salty from bottom to top. Now it's completely sweet from bottom to top. And it's of course due to this wonderful system here, which raises the aquifer, raises the water table. With that, we are nurturing those tree lines, and with nurturing the tree lines, we are nurturing the well. So what we are doing here in summer, we are feeding or we are irrigating with water the tree lines just every 10 days. But we are irrigating for almost 3.5 hours. For us, it's much better than every day like 20 minutes. Because when you bring it in, like for 3.5 hours, you bring in water, the water soaks deeper in. So what happens is the trees, they make deeper roots, because when it soaks deeper in, the water goes deeper. When you do every day, which I did also in the beginning, just like 10 minutes of watering, the water is just on the surface. They have no deep roots, and often they suffer with that. So every 10 days, 3.5 hours is enough. And we are having now 2 wells, and with 2 wells, we are already managing, almost, I would say almost 1 hectare of plantation, just with 2 wells. And when in the forecast I see rain is coming, most of the people, they say, oh no, Now rain is coming, I don't have to water. Before the rain comes, I pump the water out into the hills in order that the hill gets soaked wet, because this is my deposit. When I wouldn't do it, the water would overflow, the well would overflow, and the water would be lost to the salty river. With that, when I pump it into the hills, the water is stored in the soil. And this is the biggest deposit. Okay, people have perhaps a little bit difficulties because they don't see the deposit, but the deposit is there. When we need just to observe, is the water soaking out or is it staying in the hill? And we saw it stays in the hill. That means the hill soaks it all in. So when the rain comes and the water comes down, the well can be refilled again. So depending on the rain which comes, we are watering before all our hills.
Hello, we're Denise and Lars. Thank you for watching along with the documentary that we created together with Sara.
We made here a tutorial, A to Z tutorial, kind of from seed to plant, that you understand how we do it, all the steps, that you can feel inspired and do the same, that you really can go for regeneration.
And we wanted to make these tutorials as accessible as possible so that it could reach many people and that these techniques and principles could be applied to where you are. See below in the description for more information.